going into this next question, this was going to kind of shift back a little bit into the dating side. Do you personally think that the dating pool options are more the fault of men or more the fault of women? Or do you think it's both?
You know what? That's a great question. I would probably go with both. And I say both because it takes two to tango. You know, in dating, you can't date yourself. You got to date a partner. You know what I mean? But it really kind of circles back, at least in my personal opinion, it circles right back to one of the topics we talked about earlier in the false options. And let me dive a little bit deeper when I say that. Because of the advent of social media, dating apps, and the access that we have to people, there's a false narrative that's painted when people are on these social medias and you swiping left and right, and really it makes people feel disposable. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So when you're actually involving yourself with somebody, number one, you got to wall up, and in the back of your mind, you're like, well, if this don't work out, I'll go over here. If that don't work out, I'll go over here. Man, that cycle continues. You know, and I want to bring this up, man. Back in the day, before social media, you know, if you came up in that era, before social media, all you had was your neighborhood, your school, your surrounding area, right? And you might have liked a couple of girls. Most people like the creme de la creme, right? The top dogs. And then you have like one chick that actually was showing you some attention, maybe two, depending on, you know, kind of dude you were. Those were your options, man. And you took it serious because you're like, ooh, like that was few and far between. But you appreciated it. You know what I'm saying? Whether it worked out or not, and you learned something from it or whatever, it's part of life. But it was you went into it with real intentions. You know what I mean? And I think that's why back in the day, you know, when our parents' generation or older siblings or whatever, older generations look at our generation and later, they like, what's going on? They didn't have the internet and all this stuff. Yeah, you still had the floozies and hoes and strip club and all that. But dating and relationships had more value to it. Even the songs that they made back in the day were a representation of where the culture was. You know what I mean? They were making more love songs. So yeah, today it's not that. You know, obviously the culture has shifted. I don't think we're too far gone though. I think it's taking guys like ourselves and definitely these other big podcasts where people are talking about these relationships. Some of it's toxic, but even then, I feel I really appreciate that conversation because, like we said before, it's opening the doors and it's opening the minds really, and people are starting to talk about it so we can at least get more understanding. You know what I mean? What would you say though? What would you say is men and women or both? What would you say?
Yeah, I have to say both. You know, I like you said, it takes two to tango. I can't like say, oh yeah, well, women started doing this and then men started doing it. You know, I will say this. I can kind of see where things started to make a change for both sides. Like, you know, in the 80s and 90s, guys were, you know, they were really good at being players and things like that. And then when you kind of fast forward to like the late 90s and early 2000s, I feel like women were really trying to, you know, one up men. They're like, oh, well, men are players and they all use, you know, use us and lie and cheat and all this stuff. So we're going to do the same thing. So I think it's always been that kind of back and forth thing. I don't really think anyone can be the blame as far as like pinpointing. Right now, we're starting to see a lot of people waking up and they're seeing all the dialogue. They're hearing it over and over. It's circulating and people are like, you know what? maybe that doesn't make sense, or maybe that's not the only way, or maybe we shouldn't just think that all women are just here to procreate, or maybe we shouldn't think men are just here to just give us money. You know, like this is the dialogue that's starting to happen. So you're right. I don't think it's far gone. I do think it's going to take both parties coming together, but I do feel like eventually we will get back there. I really do feel like we will.
I hope so.
I gotta say, man, I love the visuals. I love the setup that you have, like the merch. Like I think that's super dope. You've already got the brand. You've already got the merchandise. Like that's super dope.
Thank you.
Where do you see the Jahmad show going? You know, say like 2 years, 3 years, 5 years from now. What's your vision for the Jahmad show?
Ultimately, the main goal is to take it day by day, show by show, make the best possible content I can make, with a goal in helping change lives, you know, touching the audience, networking with people like yourself, doing live shows, help change my life, help change my family life, be able to be in a position to give back, you know what I mean? And also be in a position to set the standard of what a black man can do, but also leave a legacy, man. I think the sky's the limit. And this is the vehicle to help me reach all of these goals. But it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before about purpose. Ultimately, man, I just want to be able to help change lives, man. And I think that's just by sharing our story, having a platform, having a voice, making content that's not only entertaining, but it's thought-provoking, and it's helping shape and really move the culture in a great direction that's already going, but just kind of getting in that train and help push it even further. And obviously I would love to make a great living off of it. I ain't doing this for free, you know what I mean? But I want to be able to also be in a position to where I can help other people that are in need, not just, like I said, from a networking standpoint, but people that need things. And I think ultimately, man, it's about helping. It's about living within your purpose. And if I could do that one show at a time, you know, one episode at a time, talking with guys like yourself or anybody has already been a big, huge part of the show, I'm already living the dream, bro. What about you, though? Because you got a show called Elevated Minds. Obviously, I think that show speaks for itself. And I see the content that you put out and how engaging your audience already is. What do you see Elevated Minds being?
Kind of like how you want for Jahmad. I want it to be as big as possible. I want to touch as many people as possible, impact as many people as possible. I want, like you said, live shows. I want to start. I eventually would love to do like outreach or talks. If people want to have me to come and do talks, I would love to do that. I'm working on getting certified in life coaching. So eventually I'm going to, next year I want to start with that. I want to finish my book. But yeah, I just want to expand, man. I want people to think mindset, growth. I want them to think elevated minds. I want people to really be able to elevate every part of their lives, because this is something that I learned how to do myself. You know what I'm saying? And this is what it's all about, putting out value. It's all about putting out value. And that's something I've learned. No person that has ever been successful or rich or become a millionaire or whatever, no one has ever done that without giving value. No one has ever done that without solving a problem. And so that's really what it's all about. I'm trying to help people to realize you don't have to live in pain. You don't have to live in poverty. You don't have to live in sadness, depression. You don't have to live in having a body that you don't like. You don't have to live in having a relationship that you don't want to be in, or a job you don't work. You can anything that you just gotta let go of the constructs. And so I want people to think, when they think of elevated minds, they think freedom, they think abundance, they think growth. That's really the vision I have for elevated minds.
I'm gonna tell you, man, honestly, sometimes I feel like we don't either realize it or give ourselves enough credit, but you're already doing that, bro. I mean, you got a solid social media following on all your different platforms, and we'll get to all your different platforms in a minute. But and the content is already there. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, congratulations on all those endeavors, man. The book, I think that's super dope. And life coaching, that's super dope, man. So, I mean, you're already in the mix And that's a blessing in itself. So congratulations already. We're going to already speak it. It's already here.
So what would you say up until now, up until 35, what was the biggest lesson that you've learned?
Truly understanding what accountability is and holding myself accountable in everything that I do. Anything that's in my control, I control. And to be honest with you, I'm still learning that lesson. Before I started doing the podcast, I knew that I wanted all these things that you really talked about, the wife, the kids, the good life, and all that stuff. That was genuinely part of my goals. But I also knew that I had a lot of work to do on myself because I did feel empty. So I started educating myself. I'm like, well, I want to change my conversation. I actually heard Black Wall Street Trapper, I think that's his name, say that. He said, if you wanted information changes your conversation. I thought that was super dope, but it's so true. So I started reading more, listening to audiobooks, just so I could change my mindset, understand like the things that I wanted to know that I didn't know because people around me didn't know. So I started looking into books. One of the books I read, which is a great book, a lot of people know about it, was Atomic Habits by James Clear.
Oh, one of my favorite
great
books.
Right? And that's about obviously creating habits and all that stuff. But it was also, to me, about being accountable. Owning your mistakes, owning when you've done wrong, owning when you've done right. You know what I'm saying? Like taking pride in the things that you actually do and appreciation and gratitude and accomplishing things. That principle in itself, not just relationships or whatever, but applying that across life, you need to be accountable in your actions. Every single decision you make is your decision solely. You can't blame anybody else. You can't point the finger. So if you want a better life, you need to make better decisions.
Point blank.
You feel me?
I agree.
What about you? That's a good question. What about?
Man, there's always room for improvement. You know, there's never a point to where you can say, oh yeah, I'm there. I know everything. I'm the best I can possibly be. I'm gonna stop going to the gym. I'm gonna stop learning. I'm gonna stop reading. I'm gonna stop, trying to brush up my communication skills or stop, all these other things that make you. You can't just stop these things. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so true.
It's very important to stay improving. You stay learning. No one's perfect, and you never will be perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. Even when you get to be the best version of yourself, you still got to work.
Exactly.
It's not like you're not at a pinnacle and you just stop. As long as we're a human, we're imperfect. Never stop improving. There's never enough room to improve.
Man, that right there is game in itself. Hopefully, man, y'all learn something from this show, right? Not just from the topics that we talked about, but truly understanding how you can have strong individuals in the same room together, really in the same industry, and be able to push each other, man. That's the definition of excellence and the power in networking, man. Jalin, man, I want to give you a big thanks for coming on the Jahmad Show, man. This has been a blessing. And this, guys, if y'all like this type of content, leave it down in the comments so we can do more of this. We're planning on doing that anyways, man. This is the longest show I've had to date. So this goes to show you that we got a lot of stuff to talk about, man. So if y'all like this long form content, please leave it down in the comments, man. Jalin, man, let the people know where they can find you, all your social media, and I'll have all those links also down in the description. Search
Jalin Warren. You'll find me on Facebook and pretty much everywhere else. But you can find me on IG at Elevated Minds Podcast. That's elevate with the 8 instead of an A. So let's like that on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube.
Perfect. And like I said, I have all those links down in the description. You need to go follow this man. You're going to see a lot of him on this show. I'm sure I'll be on his show. But this, like I said, man, power networking, man. This right here is dope. Been a dope show, man. Thank you once again for coming on the show. Guys, y'all know what to do, man. Of course, and I don't even know if y'all can recognize, but I got the merch on today. This is part of the Love Peace brand as well as the fleece. So go pick it up at thejahmadshow.com. We would love the support. Also, if you want to collab, man, you got a product, like I said, shout out to Omar Filet, Tainted Souls, man. He sent me this. You guys send me your stuff. Hit me at collab at thejahmadshow.com. Once again, that's collab at thejahmadshow.com. And y'all know what it is, man. Big shout out to Jalin Warren, man. Elevated Minds Podcast. Thank you again, brother. And until next time, love, peace.